Are blades dead? Big question, right? Well, in this video, I'm going to try and answer that question. Bladed irons have definitely declined in popularity. In this video, I'm testing these though. The new Ping Blueprint T irons, a new bladed iron. They look phenomenal, but are they functional? That's the one. It's absolutely incredible. Are blades dead? No. That's really interesting, this. Over my golf career, I've had blades in the bag, definitely. And there's lots of advantages to blades, there really are. First off, looks. I mean, these brand new Ping Blueprint T irons look incredible in this Festal golf bag. I mean, they're absolutely gorgeous. There's something quite kind of historic, nostalgic around bladed irons. They also look great behind the golf ball. Bladed irons always look super behind the golf ball. Really clean, sharp lines. Just very kind of, I'd class it as traditional. I think if you asked a non-golfer to draw a golf club, it would end up looking like a blade, wouldn't it? It's the traditional element to it. But what's interesting, over all the years that I've reviewed products, blades have definitely had kind of ups and downs in popularity. At the moment, I really feel like they're on the downward spiral. You're not seeing as many tour pros use blades. That's a fact. You know, you even saw me review recently the Adam Scott Miura blades. He isn't even using them. He's using a set of clubs that's giving him more forgiveness, a little bit more help. So many have transitioned over the last few years. And then the average golfer, really, the average golfer, a handicap of 17, 18, are never going to be using blades. And even now, if you look at the best players in your club, I can almost guarantee they're probably not using blades. Or if they are, very little. So who is buying them? And soon, are they going to disappear off the face of the golf planet? Now, with all that being said and done, I'm still going to review these irons as I would do normally. I want to see how they feel, how they fly. I think what's important with bladed irons as well, which I think we'll maybe see in this video, is 7-iron, which I'm going to start off with, 8-iron, 9-iron pitching wedge. For the majority of golfers, they can use those clubs. They can use a blade in those clubs. As soon as you start going into 6, 5, and 4-iron, obviously the blade gets even, less inviting behind the golf ball. You see a lot more golfers now with split sets. Whether it's cavity back in the long irons and then blade in the short irons, you definitely see a lot more of that now. Right, let's hit the first shot and I'll give you a little bit of spiel about the Ping Blueprint irons. Just like I say, it's just a 7-iron to kick things off. There's no question they're absolutely gorgeous behind the golf ball. Small from toe to heel, very small, very thin top line, but just look gorgeous. Really, it almost reminds us as kids growing up, I'm going to play blades, I'm going to play in the Open, I'm going to win the Masters. These are the clubs you dream of using. Tiny bit heavy, and I think almost straight away, it found its way onto the green, but almost straight away, just that little bit of a heavy contact, because the blade length, because the sole is so slim, that just digs into the ground. And I got away with that, but I think that was borderline. That could have been really bad. Let's hit a better one. Let's start this video with a good shot. I rest my case. There's 2 shots there. Fatted the first one. I slightly misstruck the second one, and it's missed the green by a mile. Anyway, let's talk about spec first. 8620 carbon steel to give it that really good feel. Developed with tour pros in mind. That's such a big factor. Certainly blades, tour pros have a very specific look they want from their irons. Very narrow sole. Now, it's funny how that's on the spec sheet. Narrow sole is good for if you are a good ball striker. Having that narrow sole gets that real compression, gets that strike as good as it can. If you need that little bit of help, a wider sole is definitely more recommended. And these irons have won on tour. Like, these are tour winning irons. From 4-iron to pitching wedge, the price is £1,319. So definitely not cheap. And you don't often find a cheap set of bladed irons. I think a lot of the engineering that goes into a blade, albeit they're very simple looking, is still very in depth. What's also interesting with bladed irons, and this is something really worth noting, the loft is normally quite traditional, or in this modern day, quite weak. So for example, the 7-iron is 33 degrees of loft. Now, Tiger in his heyday was using like a 35, 36 degree lofted 7-iron. So these are just a tiny bit stronger than even from the early kind of 2000s. But for right now in 2024, that is considered a fairly traditional, almost weak lofted 7-iron. To put that into perspective, the big brother of these irons, the G430s, the loft of the 7-iron is 29 degrees. It's pretty much a club. The 6-iron of these sets is 29 degrees. So pretty much a club longer, really. So that's also something to notice with 4-irons. You're not getting a lot of distance. You're not going to be hitting it further. You've got to strike the middle. You've got to get that kind of perfect connection, really. At the moment, the first two I didn't. Let's see if we can find some rhythm. Let's see if we can find some good golf shots. But when you do hit bladed irons well, the feel. That was a good shot. It leaked a little bit right, but that was right in the middle of the club face. Again, I'm not getting huge distance there. It only carried 162 yards. That's not long, again, because of the loft and because there's not much kind of substance behind the hitting area. You're not getting maximum ball speed, but the feel. It's something that every golfer in the world needs to have experienced, whether you're new to golf or you've played golf for a long time. A centered strike on a bladed iron, nothing feels better. And I'll stick to that till the day I die. Nothing in golf feels better than when you've absolutely centered. Oh, not quite a bladed iron. That's not bad, but it's still not quite centered. And again, if you are of that caliber where every single shot you're hitting, you're absolutely middling it, like these tour pros, you know, the guys who are still using bladed clubs, which isn't many of them now, and you are striking the middle, how satisfying that feel must be all the time. Like I'd love to morph into the body for a driving range session where they just strike 10 7-irons in a row. I'd be a satisfied man. I could never play golf again if that's the case. But that middle strike, and these are really nice feeling irons. That second to last one that I've just hit. And normally I'm looking here, even just hitting on the simulator, my eyes instantly go a little bit higher in the flight. They pop up a touch higher, just again because that loft setup. Really nice. I don't feel like I've done them service just yet. I wouldn't say I've hit one brilliant. Let's just hit a couple more, and then we'll move into a different iron. That's the one. That's the one. If I could do that every single time, I would use nothing but blades. But that's the issue. Doing that every single time is not easy. It really isn't. God, they feel good. Okay, so then moving into the pitching wedge. Loft-wise, 45 degrees. Now, most players, even if you're a higher handicapper, you start to use a more bladed looking wedge, where that's a more specialised wedge. So for me, a lot of golfers could use a bladed wedge, not a problem. And this is another gorgeous looking golf club. I really like the shaping, I like the high toe. I love the very, almost quite sharp leading edge. Gorgeous looking irons. Right, let's hit a couple of nice pitching wedges into this green. Pulled it a tiny bit, but again, feel-wise was absolutely incredible. Typically with a bladed iron as well, you'll get that little bit of extra spin, you'll be able to kind of manipulate shots, and I think that's where, again, better players might, if they're able to, if they hit the centre of the club enough, lean more towards bladed golf clubs. You can typically manipulate them a little bit more, you can hit a big right to left to right, high, low. You can kind of work a little bit more magic with a bladed golf club. Again, for the average golfer, not so much. Like they're not going to be able to do that really, and if anything, it's going to be by a bit of a happy accident. I definitely, certainly the more I've played golf now, I've been playing golf for 20 plus years, I've definitely now started to see less, even new golfers coming through, even really talented young golfers, they're not using blades so much anymore. They're using cavity. I do think we're at the tail end of bladed golf clubs. I really do. And it's a shame because there's still a very, 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 very small percentage of golfers that could utilise blades. But I do think now, certainly if you're moving into golf to make money, using blades isn't massively helping you as much now as a nice set of cavity back irons. This wedge is lovely to hit. Going back to kind of the real review of these irons, they do feel good. I mean, Ping blades in the past, that blades isn't their speciality. This is one of their real true blades that they've ever made. It's not their speciality. They're much more geared towards kind of forgiving golf clubs. You typically want to, if you're looking for blades, you normally maybe lean towards Titleist or Mizuno, Miura as a kind of quite an exotic brand. Ping aren't normally in the blade conversation, but I mean, almost just as they've cracked the blade market or making a great blade, is when I'm saying they're becoming kind of obsolete. That's nice with the wedge. Yeah, I'm not quite getting that extra few yards out of it, but I'm not expecting to either. Really nice feel. Right, let's go for now. The other end of the spectrum. 4-iron, 22.5 degrees of loft. I mean, this is where realistically, I honestly, even if tour players are using bladed golf clubs now, it's very rare are they still using a bladed long iron. So this is where the fun and games begin. Just behind the golf ball, again, you've just got to be an incredible ball striker to be able to kind of absolutely find that sweet spot. The sole is thin, the top line is delicate. Let's hit some, because if I can middle one, it'll make my day. It might even make my week. Come on, let's hit a good strike. Oh, yes, there she is. Woo! Oh. Every day, if I could stand there every day and hit that golf shot, there is just something so incredible of that kind of, you don't feel the ball come off the head. When you strike it in the middle of a blade, you just don't feel it come off the face. That was gorgeous. 202 yards carry, that little penetrating draw. I mean, that's as good as it gets for me. That is as good as it gets. I almost don't want to hit another one because I don't want that taste to go away. But obviously I need to hit a couple more. That was a great strike. I just pulled it a touch. Still felt good off the face. This isn't going as bad as I thought it was going to be, actually. They're not too bad shots there. That's it. I want to finish one with one more real bullet. Oh, just the difference between a slightly open face or a slightly closed face is vast. And that's the thing with kind of better players when they've got this versatility, this bladed golf club where they feel like they can leave the face open and cut it up a little bit, shut it down and be able to kind of hit one nice little draw. When you've got that blade length and this style of club, it's so much easier to do. Just that when you're trying to hit a straight shot and it doesn't quite pay off, the effects are quite damaging, really. Let's go one more, come on, Vic, you've got this. Middle it, I'm going to hit a little tight draw, straight onto that flag. Perfect. Oh, yes. That's the shot to finish on. Are blades dead? No. Let's look at some data and then I'll talk about whether I think blades are dead or not. God, that last shot was good. That was really, really good. If we dive through the data, 7-iron 163 yards of carry, 4-iron 202, pitching wedge 134. No huge surprises. You know, they are what you expect from a bladed golf club. Me using a slightly more cavity back iron now, I probably add about maybe, certainly with the 7-iron and the 4-iron, maybe kind of 5-6 yards on top of that for my own personal performance now. But it's just the missed strikes. You just get a little bit more punished. Are blades dead? They're not yet. And that being the imperative word, they're not yet still going to be a golfer who can use these to their full potential, who can make bladed golf clubs sing. But I believe that number is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Incredible set of golf clubs, the Ping Blueprint tees. Let's just be honest, for most people watching this video, they're not going to be for you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.